Representative Windy Boy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to speak on the motion before us from a different point of view. You know, we're talking about some of the things about the trans community throughout not only the state of Montana, but also throughout the country and beyond into Canada. You know, the community that I represent does have trans in my community. And to some tribes, we call them two-spirit people. My late uncle, who was one of my teachers, one of my mentors in my way of life, has always told me one thing to keep in mind, that no matter who we are, that we are all equal under the eyes of Almighty. And always remember, he said, when you point your finger at somebody, look how many is pointing back. And so when you take that into context, that with this thing here that's before us, there's a lot of events that happen not only in this body, but over in the body of the Senate in the last 21 years, as well as the 21 years and 11 sessions I've seen here. This is nothing compared to some of the events that occurred that we're making this as egregious as they are. We had a Democrat leader that sat right in that third row there, fourth row, almost go fisticuffs with the representative on the other party on the other side over there. And the Great Falls Tribune even has pictures in the gallery that had them going at it. That was uncalled for. That was so much unrest here. Why weren't they taken to the level of this? Maybe it was because of whatever situation that was at the time. And even over in the Senate, there was votes that were taken, there were bills that were on the floor that we were in the minority been silenced. And we got up and we hit the desk. We almost got charged for messing up the state's property. Why weren't we disciplined at that time? We should have. I would have went to jail because I would have been found guilty. But at the same time, we are picking one person in this body for something that she believes is right. The one situation that she stands to represent the same amount of people that I represent, the same amount of people that she represents, he represents, she represents down the line. But yet we stand in solidarity with each other to the level of where we should get along. That's what it is. In the last since 2016, that's when the whole country had gone so far right, so far left to the values that just pits one against the other. And exactly the same verbiage that my colleague here is being in a situation where she can't come in here. There's a Florida congressman who said the same words last week. Why hasn't the Congress disciplined him? What we're doing to my colleague here. What's good for them should be good for us, vice versa. So I think that we need to just put this behind us, let her represent the people that she represents. Let's get on and let's do the people's work, what they sent us here for. Vote no.
Representative Casey Knutson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the 68th Legislature, you know, one of the most important rights of any legislative body is the right to regulate the conduct of its members, as well as discipline a member as the body deems appropriate. A state legislative body possesses inherent rights of self-protection, which is reflected in our own House rules in the definition of a question of privilege, which includes anything that affects the collective rights, safety, dignity, and integrity of the House. Our state constitution provides that either house may punish a member with good cause shown with the concurrence of 2/3 of all of its members. Our state constitution, our House rules, and Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure all reinforce the fact that this House, this body, holds dear the right to self-protection. We today are exercising this right based on the inappropriate behavior on the House floor of the representative from House District 100 on April 24th, 2023. This behavior violated the collective rights and safety of 99 other members of this body, our staff, our pages, and the public. And based on this showing of good cause, I would recommend a yes vote on the motion to discipline the representative from House District 100. Thank you, members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I hope no one is expecting any jokes from me today because I think what we're doing here is deeply, deeply serious. I want to echo my friend and colleague in seat 31 and remind us why we're here. We're here because we are struggling with a debate that we have had from the beginning of this session on a set of bills. Bills that directly and daily impact the LGBT community. I will remind the body that not one Democrat brought any of those bills. We did not go to look for that fight. But when it came to us, we did what we had to do. We did our job. We stood up. We stood with our community. We told the truths that we live every day. We hoped you would listen. That's our job. It is deeply unsurprising to me that the community responded on Monday the way that they did. Because it's not just that one of our own has been silenced. It's that that's happened after a session of debating bills that only impact some of us and struggling to fight for equal treatment under the law. I will remind folks that the right to protest, and in fact the right to protest against the government, is a clearly held right in both the state constitution and the federal constitution, and we took oaths to protect those constitutions. I want to note for the record that my experience, personally, in this body and in this building, although I love my job and I show up every day eager to do it, is that I have faced a series of offensive behaviors and offensive actions. There are people in this room who have said things about me in the press and online that I find deeply offensive. Deeply offensive. And I find that there's been a pattern of unwillingness to listen to a diverse set of opinions on the bills in front of us, and that is our job. I know without a doubt that there are deeply held disagreements about the bills that we hear, about the policies that we are debating. And those disagreements are part of the process. We have to be able to discuss them, even when it's uncomfortable. I know that we have rules. The speaker before me laid them out in some clarity. I believe that those rules must be held not to protect us as individuals, our feelings, our experiences, but to protect the process, to protect our job, the work that we are doing to pass bills and policies that touch the lives of every Montanan in this state. And that is where I think we have gone deeply wrong in this process. Because we are considering these rules not to protect the rights of all of us, to engage in our democratic process, something I hold sacred, but instead to protect us as people, as individuals.
One
It is
minute.
time for us to put the work first. That's our job. We were not elected to come up here and put ourselves first. None of us were. I believe a yes vote on this motion puts our democratic process, our important jobs as legislators second, and puts our feelings and experiences first. And I think that's wrong. I think we have one shot to right this ship, and it's this vote. And I hope some of you will join me in voting red.
Representative Beatty.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak on this motion. The behavior of the representative of House District 100 has been in the news for over a week. And I must admit that opinions concerning her prior utterances vary, even within my caucus. But today, we're not here to pass judgment on what might have been said or done before this past Monday, but rather to consider the specific actions that we're taking on a specific day. Now, it's an irrefutable fact that the representative in question did indeed actively support and arguably incite the disruptive antics of demonstrators who had gathered in the House gallery. But it's also true that the representative had other options. One was to join other legislators by leaving the floor as was directed by the Speaker. Another would have been to try to calm the crowd. The representative of House District 100 chose neither. And so here we are. As a consequence of the representative's actions, the orderly workings of this body had to be suspended so that we could not proceed with doing our duty, which is to conduct the business of all citizens of Montana. This is an assault on our representative democracy. Spirited debate and the free expression of ideas cannot flourish in an atmosphere of turmoil and incivility. Undoubtedly, some will cast and indeed have cast this matter in terms of freedom of speech or the oppression of a minority. I would argue it is neither. Rather, what is at stake is the expectation that any member of this body, whoever that might be, has a duty to strive to maintain decorum so that the people's work, the work of all Montanans, can be accomplished. The representative of House District 100 failed to do her duty. Worse yet, she actively participated in disrupting the lawful activities of this legislature. Such behavior must have consequences if we are to keep our processes in place, the processes that serve all Montanans. And for that reason, I must support the motion that is before us today, and I urge you to do so as well. Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader Abbott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members, I think most of you know I wish we were debating other things on this floor today, and I wish the gallery was full of Montanans engaging in the legislative process. I wish a lot of things, but that's not where we are. Mr. Speaker, I disagreed with your decision not to recognize the representative in seat 31, and you know that because we discussed it. I told you that I thought there were other paths that we could take, House Rule 2080 being the clearest one. It would have allowed for us to have debates on hard issues and maintain order. That is a tool that was available to us, and I think it's important that we talk about how we got here, and you didn't take that tool. And there's one person that had the ability to avoid being on this floor right now debating this motion, and it wasn't the representative in seat 31. And now we're far beyond the rules that allow us to debate issues here. I agree with other speakers on my side of the aisle that we are in first principles, we are in democratic principles, we are talking about constitutionally protected rights and the very nature of a representative democracy, ensuring that 11,000 people have proper representation. And today, I'm standing up for those first principles, and I'm standing up for democracy, and I'm going to vote against this motion. But it should not go without saying And I think it's obvious to a lot of us that there is an opportunity cost to choosing this path. We don't have a state budget. We don't have a plan for housing. We don't have a plan for childcare. We don't have a plan for permanent property tax relief. We don't have a plan for mental health. We don't have a plan for provider rates. And today we're on this floor debating this motion, and hopefully we can get back to work. I sure hope so. But today I'm going to vote in support of constitutional principles. And you know what? I agree that you absolutely can do this by rule, by the Constitution, by Masons. But just because you can do it does not mean that's the right choice. I think it's the wrong choice. I hope we don't make it today, but if we do, we'll have to move on and see if we can get the work of Montanans done. But today I have to show Montanans that we care about these first principles first, and we'll deal with our business later. I hope you vote no. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Moore.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members of the body, I stand here in favor of the motion that is before us. The offense that occurred on April 24th by the Representative House District 100 is irrefutable. We all witnessed firsthand the violations that have already been articulated, and were also witnessed throughout local and national media. There's a fundamental human principle that each of us are responsible for our actions for ourselves, and we bear the consequences of our behavior and our actions. Today, I would like to focus more on the reasonableness of the motion. We're not wanting to ignore what happened, nor are we wanting to overreact. The disciplinary actions that are proposed, from my perspective, are reasonable and prudent, and the measures proposed ensure the safety of the body and all who participate in the work of the House. With these articulated consequences, let's clearly understand that the representative continues to serve our state. The representative will continue to have the opportunity to serve District 100, vote on all bills before the floor of the House, and to complete the 2-year term. It's my opinion that the discipline proposed is fair and reasonable given the circumstances. This motion allows the representative to serve constituents and provides an opportunity to re-engage with the entire body in the future. I am hopeful that we will be able to complete our current session in the coming days with honor, finishing well. I am also hopeful that the representative being disciplined will understand the significance of the actions taken on April 24th, and that future engagement with this body will resume. My desire is that this session and the sessions before us will have lively debates, respecting one another, and continuing to serve Montanans well. I urge your support for this motion.
Majority Vinton, would you care to close on your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. We have heard the debate. We were all present and observed the conduct of the representative from House District 100 on April 24th. This conduct cannot be allowed to stand. Our constituents and our state deserve better. They deserve our full attention, and this institution and body deserve the respect of all its members. However, it has not been respected, and we must regain the decorum of this body, not only now, but also to set precedent for the future. Therefore, good cause has been established, and I urge the body to vote in favor of this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.